I love the education portion of what you guys put out there. We're just coming out of this jab thing and quarantine, and the jab's going to save you and you'll be fine, and shut down the gyms, and everything's going to be fine in 2 weeks. Really, really disappointing at kind of the umbrella federal level of how this thing was handled, kind of turning off the body's natural healing system, the body's natural immune system, getting out in sunlight. How can we educate people, number one, about the importance of the body's a self-healing mechanism, and it's designed to keep you healthy, and there is no substitute for movement, there is no substitute for concentration, there is no substitute for good nutrition, there is no substitute for a good night's sleep. And how can we teach folks that this should be part of our culture?
Boy, that's the $1 million question, Ed. And I'll tell you that what you're doing right now is really what we have to do, and that is to educate in many modalities. Mm-hmm. We have the podcast listeners. So full disclosure, I've never listened to an educational podcast ever, mm-hmm. because my modality is reading. Mm-hmm. I don't like watching videos that are educational. Mm-hmm. I'm a voracious reader. My son is huge with videos, 4.0 student, but hates to read. Mm-hmm. So we need to have education and outreach in as many modalities as possible so that the different types of learners can, ingest this information. But at the very basic level, and I, whether you believe in creation or, or in evolution, and I'll keep that to myself because I don't want to, get anybody freaked out here. But regardless, we go back a long ways, right? Let's just agree on that, like thousands of years. This body was created or evolved, designed to operate in a certain way. The first is to move all the time, to sleep and wake with the sun, right? So we have a circadian rhythm. Mm-hmm. We ate only whole foods or natural foods. We didn't have, high fructose corn syrup and MSG and all this other nasty crap that we're putting into our bodies, and plastic, and you name it, the list goes on and on. So why don't we just start with that and go, what were the bodies of, created or evolved? How were they, created to operate? And are mm-hmm. we operating it in that same way? The answer is an emphatic no. Mm-hmm. We're not moving. Then beyond that goes education. And again, be careful what you read. Be careful, social media is not the place to get your PhD. Let me tell you, folks, you need to listen to folks who have been in the industry for years, or experts like Ed here. And what I would submit to you is folks that maybe learned some of those lessons the hard way, because that's where I come from. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but boy, have I made a lot of mistakes. And I'd like to think that every one that I've experienced and overcome was by leaning on somebody smarter than myself and learning the why behind the what. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Stay curious, as my friend Michelle Dalcourt would say, and then spread the message. Probably the most impactful thing we can do. And I'm looking at this, that not all of us have children. Mm-hmm. Not all of us want children. I totally respect that. But a heck of a lot of us do. It's educating the next generation. It's educating your kids or the folks that you have the opportunity, because if we can't pass down that generational knowledge, all we're going to have is what's out there in marketing. And there's billions of dollars put into marketing and telling you what you should eat, what you should drink, pill you should pop, and what you should do. That's not necessarily the answer, but boy, do they have a lot of money behind it.
Yeah, we are really in a little war for our heart and soul, for our mind. You must see a lot of what I see since the quarantine, which 3 things I see predominantly. Number one is I see anxiety, I see unfounded nervousness, and I see a lot of people who can't sleep. And it's an epidemic throughout America. You could just go out in the public and you're going to be, where's the humans? How I like to approach this temporary market that we have in time. Number one, is connection. We need to make connection. Number two, we need to communicate. And number three, we need to adapt. You provide folks an amazing service at ISSA. The connection, the communication, the adaptation. How does fitness training and athletics help the mind, help us get beyond this unfounded nervousness, this constant state of anxiety, and this mental state of I can't sleep anymore?
Yeah, no, that is a really good question. And at the risk of sounding too excited about it, but I think most would agree, exercise is medicine, folks.
Yes.
So is food. So is food. Okay. Food and exercise, they are medicine. Now, I do not have degrees in neurology or psychiatry or the brain or anything like that. So when I speak to what I'm going to speak to, I'm going to do it from a very high level. And that is that the effect that movement and exercise has on the brain because of the hormones and the chemicals released, endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. Those are they all have different roles in our behavior. Dopamine and endorphins are more like that kick, that pump, the satisfaction, and then serotonin and oxytocin are more like feel-good hormones. And they're all encouraged through movement. They're all encouraged. And I just say movement because exercise, all movement is exercise. People think I got to get on a treadmill. I got to get on a spin bike. I got to pick up a dumbbell. No, you don't. You just need to move, folks. Take a couple laps around the block, go walk your dog, pull some weeds in your yard. It's just movement. Movement is medicine.